I'm not angry. I'm just sad. Sad enough to cry just thinking about this situation. If Greg had told me before I traveled, I wouldn't have come to America. Imagine leaving behind everything you've ever known, your home, your family, your country, all for love. And the moment you arrive, your fiancé tells you that you can't even sleep in the same bed. On top of that, you're living in his mother's house, where she makes the rules. Oh, hell no. That's exactly what happened to Joan when she arrived in America from Uganda. She was completely blindsided and burst into tears. Feeling vulnerable and uncertain, she had to ask herself, can this relationship survive, or is this the beginning of the end? Let's talk about it. Music. Hey, 90-Day fans. It's Melissa. I recently sat down with Amanda and Matt, two-thirds of this season's throuple, and trust me, things got spicy. When asked about people questioning their motives for being on the show, a man said they are just going to have to wait and see. To be fair, almost everyone who goes on a reality show has some kind of motive. Love, fame, controversy. Something is always driving them. So what's their motive? The full interview drops this week. So make sure you subscribe to Entertainment Tonight's YouTube channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. Before we get into Joan and Greg, let's take a moment to talk about Maddie's reaction to seeing New Orleans for the first time. After spending his entire life in Iran, walking the streets of New Orleans was overwhelming for him, like taking a kid to Disneyland. Did you ever see this in Iran? Someone asks. Never, not even in pictures. Then he adds something that really hits home. I can totally feel the freedom, hey. For those of us born and raised in the U.S., that sense of freedom is something we often take for granted. But Maddie's experience is a reminder it's not like this everywhere. In Iran, dancing in public can get you arrested. Let that sink in. How many of us would have been in jail by now? It's moments like these that make you realize freedom is a privilege, one that we should protect and appreciate every day. But back to Greg and Joan. Greg is a 35-year-old baker from New York who still lives with his mom. Do I baby Greg? His mom says. Maybe a little. He's a total mama's boy, and he admits he's not the most hard-working guy either. Call it ADHD or just call it being lazy, I don't know. But now, he's engaged to 26-year-old Joan from Uganda and is hoping things will change. Their love story? Honestly, it sounds like fate. Greg met Joan because he fell asleep on a stranger's shoulder during a flight. That stranger happened to be from Uganda and invited Greg to visit his safari company. Greg took the trip, and within hours of landing, he met Joan. A year later, she friended him on social media, and their romance took off. Greg returned to Uganda and proposed on Joan's birthday. Now, Joan has arrived in New York to start their life together. But Greg's mom has one rule: no sleeping in the same room. I just don't need to hear things happening. Greg understands, but wishes things were different. Of course, I want my own place, our own privacy, but this is what we have to deal with for now. Honestly, I don't blame his mom. Every parent is different. Plus, Greg is 35 and still living at home. He's lucky she hasn't kicked him out yet. But hopefully, this pushes him to step up, move out, and build a life with Joan. Gregory, you got this. But for now, the reality is awkward. Greg picks Joan up from the airport, and she immediately cuddles into him, like he's her personal teddy bear. It feels like I'm waking up for the first time, like being born again. Greg, ever the baker, is already talking about teaching her to make sourdough. Probably not tonight, right? She says. No, Greg, not tonight. Then, on the way home, Greg drops the separate rooms bomb. Joan is stunned. I don't want to sleep alone. Greg tries to soften the blow. Maybe we can compromise, leave the door open. Still, it's a tough situation. Joan gave up everything to be here. Her home, her career as a director at an NGO, her sense of independence. Now, she's living under someone else's roof, playing by someone else's rules. She feels like a nobody, and it's breaking her. I wish I could see inside people's minds to know their true intentions. Because let's be real, 90-Day Fiancé has made us all skeptical. Is this love? Or is there another reason Joan left Uganda? Time will tell. When they finally arrive, Greg's mom sizes Joan up immediately. She's beautiful. she says. So tiny and thin. And then the comment, not for long. How do you even respond to that? Joan goes to take a shower, and Greg's mom immediately starts keeping tabs. She's still in there? Greg tries to defend her. She was really nervous to meet you. The whole separate room thing hit her hard. And then Greg breaks down. I love her so much. I don't want to waste her time. I don't want her to regret coming here. Seeing her son so emotional, his mom agrees to compromise. Instead of sleeping in separate rooms, they'll just leave the door open. Let's be real. That's not going to stop anything. Later that night, as Greg heads upstairs, his mom looks shaken. Her baby boy has a woman in the house. A woman he plans to marry in 90 days. Is Joan truly as invested as he is? Next week, the reality of their situation sets in. Joan starts pushing for them to get their own place. And Greg? He's a little too focused on other things. Oh my God, I can't wait to squeeze that booty. Greg, please. Joan, on the other hand, is thinking about their future. We need to get our own place.